You have just signed up to Azure, you have opened Azure Portal, and you are feeling completely lost, right? Too many services, menus, and options. In this video, I'll give you a complete Azure Portal tour, and by the end, you will know exactly where to click. So, what is Azure Portal? So, Azure Portal is a web-based console where you can create, manage, and monitor all your cloud resources from virtual machines to databases, storage accounts, Azure Kubernetes Service, and cost tracking all in one place. So when you log in to the Azure portal, this is the first view which you'll get, and it will start with the Azure services. This is your home dashboard. It shows you recent resources, quick actions to create new services. So to begin with, in the top heading, we can see Azure services. In here, we can choose a service and create a new resource like the virtual machines, app services, your alerts, your resources, your Kubernetes, all of that in one place. And if you want to create a service which is not visible here, you can go to more services and directly search here. Let's suppose I want to search for storage accounts. It will not show you anything because right now we are in the heading of compute. In compute, we get virtual machines, your Kubernetes, your web apps, and all of that. Storage will come under this section. And now if we search for storage account, we'll see at the option, right? So this is the way you can create a new resource. Next we have is the resources. So suppose you have started working in Azure portal, you have created new resources and you have opened them just like if I open test VM and go back. So all of that recent resources which we have accessed, we can see from this pane of view. And next we have is favorite. And in the favorite section, suppose you have a resource that you are always going to interact like a virtual machine. You have to work daily. You can just go to select resources to favorite and then select your resource which you are going to interact with on a day-to-day basis and then select. Now what will happen is whenever you land into the Azure portal, you can go directly to favorite and resource will be there. And you can just simply click on and start working on it. So we got Azure services and then the resources and then navigation. So in here we can just directly go to subscription, our resource group and all resources you can find from here. I'll be creating an in-depth video to understand subscription, resource group and resources, how that works in Azure portal and how they are connected to each resource. And in that bottom, if you go, we have tools and we can go to Microsoft Learn documentation, Azure Monitor, Defender for cloud cost management. We also have the link of the Azure mobile application for iPhone and Android. So when we go back to the top, we have portal.azure.com our URL to access it. And the pro tip when you're working in Azure Portal is to don't browse menus. Just use the search bar. Type anything, virtual machine, storage account, or even a specific resource. Azure will take you there instantly. So just example, if I search for virtual machine, you can see all the relevant services with the name of virtual machines are popping up here. And we can click on any service and then create the resources. And this was example of service. Suppose I want to search for my particular resource which I've created, like test VM you see here. So I can just search directly and you can see I have the option of resources. Under resources my virtual machines and all the resources which are with the name of test VM. So this is a very easy option for you to search resources directly if you know about them. Next we have is a hamburger icon. This hamburger icon is very important for you to fast track your working in portal because this view will show you all your favorite services which you interact with on a day-to-day basis, and all these services which you see are the default view. We can modify it according to our own use case. If you want to add AKS, Azure Kubernetes Service, I can just go to the service. I'll show you how to do it and I can add here to instantly access that, right? So suppose I want to go to advisor, I can just instead of typing down here and I can just directly go here and click on this. Right. So this is very important to organize your things and you can access very fast. And if you go in depth, we have create a resource. I'll search for virtual network and enter. And now other important thing here is you can see we are seeing services from all Microsoft and third party solutions, right? And you can see the third party being Canadian Center or MathWorks. So these third party have integrated their services with Azure so that users can access them from the Azure portal itself. And suppose you just want to see the Microsoft services, you can just click on Azure services and after that you will only see the Microsoft offered services, right? And my virtual network is here. I can just click and create. We can also go to the left pane of view and see like the private marketplace, my favorites, the categories, the compute databases, security to narrow down our search. Right now if you go back to the home and then again back here, then we have this dashboard which we'll cover later in the section. So suppose now I want to create a resource with the name, let's say storage account. It basically stores your data. It provides you file shares, blob data containers. Below you can see I have create button. I'll click on that. And after that you need to fill some basic information like the name, subscription, resource group, where you are going to keep them. And let's suppose I'm going to choose the subscription as cloud demos and resource group as, let's choose network voucher, and storage account cloud with aria. The name should be unique because it's publicly accessible, and let's see if it's available, right? And we can choose the region where our resource is going to get created, and we'll choose South Central India. Next, we have the preferred storage type. We can keep it as default. Performance, I can go with standard. Redundancy, I'll choose LRS. Next. And I can keep all other options as default. And then finally go to next review and create. And then create. And the storage account is created, and we'll just check the basic view we get whenever we create a resource. So this is a kind of view which you get, and every resource in Azure follows the same structure. Once you learn this layout, you can manage any service easily. Drilling down, we can see the resource group, location, our subscription where it is kept, subscription ID, and performance, which tier it is, the replication type, and all of that. In the properties, we'll see the further information regarding our resource, which is storage account, and we can see the properties of that from here. If we go to monitoring, we'll see how our resources actually are performing, how it's working. If there is any issues, we can easily diagnose it in the monitoring section. Then we have as capabilities and recommendation. You can check that out, right? And similarly, if you go to virtual machine, you'll see the similar pattern. So this will again follow the same pattern. So I'll open my resource, and you can see here we have again got the same view, the information where our resource is, the basic properties, and further properties we can just check from here, the private IP, the size, the source image, and all of that information regarding to our resource. We can go to monitoring. Monitoring will tell how my resource is actually behaving. So you can see the CPU average is dropped down to 0. Why? Because I've turned off the machine. And if you want to further drill it down, you can go to see all metrics. And when we go to left side, we have got activity log. Activity log will tell who has worked on your resource, modified our existing resource, created. All of details are recorded in this activity log. Then we have IAM, which is a identity authentication and authorization system. Then we have stack, right? And all of that. Resource visualizer will just tell you the dependencies of your resource. So virtual machine is dependent upon the disk and the network interface card. So that is why you see the connection here, right? And the connect, you can see how you can connect to virtual machines, your networking, your settings to change the configuration, availability of the virtual machine, security, and the most important, monitoring. Monitoring will tell you about the performance, how your resource is performing, and you can troubleshoot if the users who are actually using the virtual machines are facing some issues, right? So every resource in Azure follows the exact same structure, and once you learn this layout, you can manage basically any Azure service easily. So we'll again go back to home, and next we have is dashboard customization. So for dashboard customization, whenever you open Azure Portal, right, you see this pane of view, and suppose you want to change it to your own use case, like you want to see metrics of your resource or only the resources which actually matters to you. Instead of seeing everything, you will go to this option and then dashboard, and you can see our default dashboard view which you are seeing right now. To create one, I'll go to create, and you have some built-in options available from Azure itself, like Azure Inventory. This will tell you about your resources. You can set up the dashboard for your Cosmos DB health or virtual machines health metrics, application insights. So it's very customizable, and you can set up according to your own use case. I'll choose the existing one for Azure Inventory, and let's see what it will show you. So once I give it a name, my dashboard resource count, right, and submit. Now you can see the count of your Azure resources, your Azure compute inventory and storage management, all of that dashboard it automatically created. You can edit that to remove and add more information. And whenever you go back to dashboard again, you will see your dashboard here. If you have multiple, you can filter it out, right? So this is the view you can get for your resources which actually matters to you, their health. For example, you can quickly access this to access your resources health status. And we go to extreme left, we have Microsoft Cloud Suite, and we can quickly access the links from here: AI Foundry, Copilot Studio, Explorer, GitHub, Intune, and all of these. Now next we have is a very important cost management. One of the most important sections, always monitor your cost so that you do not see surprises in your invoice, right? And because it has happened to me a quite lot, which I'll show you just now. I left my resources running and got a bill for them. So we always have to be at top of the cost management, because even if you are learning or you're working on the company, we always have to be on top of cost, because this is very important for any business. So for that, you can search for cost management or directly go to this view, and in the bottom you have cost management and billing, and you can see here we have these options. To quickly check the cost, we can go to subscriptions and open that. You can go to cost management, and the cost management you have cost analysis, and from here you can drill down the cost of your resources and check for what you are being charged. To check that, we can go to accumulated cost, or you want to see the cost with the subscription segregation or the resource group, you can do by clicking on any of them. I'll go to accumulated cost. And in the accumulated cost, you can see the last month I got cost around 1486 rupees, because I left my resources running while I was giving a demo of Azure Postgre and forgot to remove. So this is the kind of surprises you want to avoid. So from here we can check the cost from where it's getting applied. You can drill it down by resource group as well. You can choose the resource group and expand, and we can see the cost segregated by the resource, right? So this was about cost management. The next thing we have is Azure Copilot. Now, Copilot is a new tool which Microsoft Azure has added to the portal, and we can basically run some queries or ask it to work upon our resources. Example being, we can ask Copilot to check which resources are making up the most of the total cost. We can find virtual machines by resource group and location, and all of that. We can just type down your query, and it can basically take action on your resources as well, like stopping and starting a virtual machine. So currently I have one virtual machine which is in stop state, and I'll ask the Copilot to start it. So I'll give the command start my virtual machine, which is stopped. So now it will run some queries behind the scenes. Alright, so you can see it executed the query against Azure Resource Graph, and from there it found the virtual machine which is in stop state, but it's not able to find the machine. Let's give it another command to find stopped allocated state. Let's see now if we have given it specifically deallocated status. Let's see if it can find the virtual machine. So yes, it's able to find the VM, and I'll click on yes, and it will start the virtual machine itself. So there's a lot of beginners queries we can do from this Copilot, and this will just search in itself and give us the result, right? And if I refresh, the status will change to running. It's getting started now. It will take a minute or two. Yeah, so you can see, right? So this was Copilot, and the next we have is Azure Cloud Shell. So Azure Cloud Shell is the solution from where you can run the scripts from the CLI or the PowerShell. You do not have to go to your own terminal. Instead, you can just open up Cloud Shell. It will create a storage account to run, and then basically you can open up a bash or a PowerShell to run your queries or the script, right? So when I clicked on this, you can see it gave us the PowerShell terminal, and if you go to switch to bash, it will go to the bash shell. So now I can run the queries from here. So I'll go back to Copilot and let's delete the virtual machine. So I'll ask PowerShell script to delete the virtual machine. I'll copy the name. Yeah, so it's generating the PowerShell script. Let's see what it provides and go from there. Alright, so you can see it gave us the script. Now it's asking us to fill in the resource group, the VM name. So what I'll do is I'll just copy these commands and run it here one by one. I'll change the resource group and I'll copy it from the virtual machine directly. And then the next command is to give the virtual machine name, and then the rest of the commands. Let's see if this works. I think we have to give the subscription as well, but if we are already in the subscription of Cloud Demos, it will work fine. Let's see in which subscription we are. Let's set the subscription first so that it runs directly on the where we want to run it. That is Cloud Demos. Let's give the subscription ID instead of the name, and we are in the Cloud Demos. Right now we can run it directly and it will run fine. So let's do this. Status is going to change, right? Not found. Succeeded. And if you go back to our test VM, you'll be not seeing any VM here. So it's still taking its time. Let's do a refresh and it's gone. Let's go to virtual machine, right? So it's all gone, and this is how we can utilize the Cloud Shell to run our queries or script directly instead of portal. We can run our scripts from CLI or the PowerShell. So other thing is whenever we go to any service like virtual machine, you will see all the subscription, right? And sometimes instead of this all subscription, you just want to see the subscription which actually matters to you. Suppose I only want to work on cloud demos, I can just filter it out from here and will only see the resources which is present in cloud demos. But other thing which we can do is go to port home, go to the settings, and in the settings what we have is advanced filter option. For that we'll go here, and in here I can create my own filter, my personal filter. I can give it a name and choose if I want to filter it by the management group subscription name. Let's go by subscription name and then cloud demos, right? And then create. So now instead of the default view, default filter which shows everything, we can go to the direction subscription and advanced filter. We can choose this personal filter. And what will happen now is that whenever I open any service like a storage account, I'll only see the resource from cloud demos, not from any other subscriptions. And we can change from here as well. But it's a very good filter in the sense when you want to see the resources or the subscriptions which matters to you. So this increases and enhances your readability from the portal. Now next thing, when we go back to the section, we have directories and subscription. If we have another tenant, we can change from here. We have advanced filters, we have appearance, we can change the lookout of the portal. We can go from the theme light to dark as well, and language and region information, signing out and all of that. You can check that out if you want to change some settings. And now for the last, we have a last section. And if you are stuck with something and need general guidance from Azure, we can go to help and support and just basically open a ticket with them to help us with our use case. So in case I'm stuck with something and I want to get an help, I can create a support request, describe our query, and then go and then filter out some more information, and that's it. Although Azure already have a very good documentation, you can check that out for all the information, but sometimes there are moments when you are stuck with something and you're not able to find the solution. You can always create a ticket and get help from the team, right? So if you are new to Azure, mastering the portal is the first step, and you can start doing the same in your account so that you can get a look and feel on how to navigate in the Azure portal. So give a like and subscribe if you like this video, and we'll meet in the next one. Thank you.